Hey everyone, welcome back to AskReddit Reads. Today's topic is, what's your darkest secret? Let's get into it. At 13, I was having a really bad period for a week that left me in a lot of pain with heavy bleeding. My mom sat with me the whole week and made sure to keep checking up on me. Thing was though, I wasn't on my cycle, I was having a miscarriage. I had been pregnant for a good few weeks now, this being the result of a family member having their way with me. I still haven't told anyone, and I have no plans on telling even my closest friend or mom. It's kind of just something I plan to carry on with me to the grave. Edit. Thank you to everyone for their kind words of support. To the people recommending I see a professional, I have been seeing one, and bit by bit I've been opening up. Second, to those saying my mom most likely knew, I honestly doubt she did. I had hidden it pretty well, and my mom was never in the house when I was showing signs due to work. Not to mention, I have a condition that gives me severe pain during the time of the month. So it wouldn't have been silly to assume I was just having a really bad flare-up. When I was in 9th grade, my mom decided she no longer likes women and will be moving on to men. She found this man, I'll call him Bill. At first Bill was alright, and he would buy me and my brother, he's a year older than me, pizza when he came by, but then that stopped. He would come to our house with expensive food for our mother and nothing for us. All the food in the kitchen was his. We would have to ask our grandma for money to buy food every day. My mom would leave us with him for weeks at a time and leave us with no money or food. Me and my brother had no key to our house, so we would leave the back door unlocked to get in, but Bill had the key and would just walk into the house and wouldn't even speak to me or my brother. Then one day, the water got turned off, and Bill kept peeing in the toilet, knowing we would have to walk down the street to our grandma's house with 2 big kitty litter buckets to flush the toilet or even brush our teeth, bathe, or do anything with the water. My mom kept lying to my grandma, saying it was sewer problems. She would get the money to pay the water bill, but never pay it. Then one day, the lights got turned off, and it was the final straw. Me and my brother packed up and moved in with my grandma. That happened more than 10 years ago, but I still get sad remembering crying myself to sleep at night, or having sleep for dinner. Now I have my own apartment, I have a wonderful fiance and an amazing son. My brother is living with me now. I'm trying to get him on his feet considering he has medical conditions. It's been taking some time, but we're getting there. When I was about 8, my dad got wrongly diagnosed with a couple psychological disorders. His psychiatrist put him on loads of meds where I didn't even feel like he was there anymore. He was on cloud 9 24/7, so that leads to this. My dad remarried my stepmom, who has 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. I was 9 at the time, my brothers were 5 and 13, and my sister was about 7. My oldest stepbrother regularly molested and raped my younger brother and sister. This problem carried on into a lot of other things, rape/molestation between my 2 youngest siblings, as well as acting up. My little brother used to run around the house throwing shit. Yes, literally his own shit. He would do it as a bad behavior, but would mainly do it when my oldest brother was chasing him to molest him. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to hear him touching them, telling them to be quiet. To this day, I just remember the look on his face and his eyes while in the moment. I'll never forget it. He was eventually put into juvie. Also, my stepmom used to make me sleep outside on the ground. If I fell asleep inside, she would wake me up, drag me by whatever limb she could hold on to, and put me outside. No blankets, no pillow, nothing. 100 degrees or 25 degrees, didn't matter. I was often locked out of the house when my dad was gone to work also. The minute he left, my stepmom would just make my life living hell. Physical and emotional abuse were typical. I bring up the medication my dad was on because he's a damn good dad and my best friend. And in the right mind, he would never allow that. He eventually went to a different doctor, got a different med, and left her, but damn, that shit was hell. I still remember the day it finally broke. My dad and stepmom were screaming at the top of their lungs, and my dad told her that he was going to leave her and told me to get my stuff. I jumped on the kitchen counter, got right in her face, and screamed, "F you." When I was very little, probably around 3 or 4, I used to play a game with my parents where I'd go to the bathroom and brush my teeth before bed. And when I got to my room, they'd pretend to be asleep, and I'd find creative ways to wake them up. Being so young, I thought my dad was superhero style indestructible, and in thinking so, I decided to try something that would hurt a kid like me, but wouldn't harm him at all since he was so big. I found a pencil lying on the desk, and I tried to stab him in the eye with it. Luckily, he was peeking and stopped me just before I did it. To this day, it gives me a sinking feeling in my stomach, thinking about what might have happened. TLDR, I almost stabbed my dad in the eye with a pencil while he was pretending to be asleep. Depression. As much as it shouldn't be a secret or something to be ashamed of, the truth is, as an adult man with a career, you have to hide that shit, because nobody is going to put up with it. Nobody will hire someone who just shuts down for months on end and can't get his shit done. Nobody will hire someone who needs a mental health day every other week. Even if they did, the guilt of not pulling my weight would make me depressed worse. My entire life revolves around not effing up my career at the cost of everything, because I don't have the energy to maintain a career, relationship, and keep my life together. At work, I'm perfectly organized, professional, friendly, and a team player. At home, I have a small mountain of cardboard in my room I just haven't gotten around to getting rid of. Order in basically every meal, haven't cleaned my bathroom in 6 months, am overdue for an oil change by a few hundred miles, and probably won't do my taxes until I absolutely can't put it off anymore, because I'd rather stare at a wall. As a child, I lived with my mom, who had several problems. She was a prostitute, which I didn't realize at the time. She drank a lot, spent all the money on booze. Sometimes we didn't even have enough to eat for weeks. But I didn't tell anyone about it because I felt so ashamed. After school, I was always going home with friends to get something to eat. Also, people started to make fun of me in school because I had to wear the same clothes for weeks, because my mom didn't do laundry. At some point when I was 15, I figured out where my dad lived, bought a ticket, and never looked back. I was a homeless medical student from Canada doing my rotations in the United States. I was/am well into 6 figures of debt. I was living out of my car. It was too hot to stay in the car during the day, so I studied in public libraries, took extra time in the hospital, would explore cool parts of the city when I could. The Galleria and Memorial City Mall were great to me. At the library, I could charge my laptop and my phone and download a couple of episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond and Narcos to watch at night. I showered at the gym I paid $12 a month for and slept in my car in this safer neighborhood in Houston that another Redditor told me about. The doctor's lounge in the office was fully stocked with snacks, fruit, and water bottles. I lived off granola bars and apples for quite some time. I considered selling my car, but because it was registered in Ontario, I couldn't legally sell it here in the United States. Could only sell it as it was for parts, without formally importing it. It was a beat-up Lexus, only worth about $1,500 anyway. I still have this car and daily it. It deserves every ounce of synthetic oil and premium fuel it gets. No one in my life, including my coworkers, friends, or parents, knew. I convinced my parents I was living with a friend, and his family and my parents gave me as much as they could, but it wasn't nearly enough to find a place to live, let alone eat, while keeping the study resources like UWorld, the bane of every medical student. I tried to go to a homeless shelter, but I couldn't because some shelters were only taking women. There wasn't any space, and I was scared. I was going to get robbed or worse, deported. My brother committed suicide. He and I were very close, and no one saw it coming. As far as families go, ours is pretty open-minded. My other sister is gay and was going to get married. Our other cousin is trans, so it came as a great shock when we read my brother's suicide note, and he was blaming us for not accepting him for being both trans and gay. Thing is, we never knew. He presented himself as male, never ever came out to us, never expressed any desires to dress the opposite gender. My sister even asked him what he wanted to wear to the wedding. He was going to be her best man. She had a diverse entourage, and told him he could wear absolutely anything he wanted. The maid of honor was going to wear a pantsuit. He said he'd wear a suit, even his best friend was dumbfounded. So imagine our shock when the suicide letter tells us how close-minded we were and how he hated his birth name and couldn't go on living. The worst part is, I found his body and have had PTSD since. My 8-year-old niece was with me when we came across him, and it was gruesome. She hasn't been right since either, and her parents are suing us for causing emotional damage to her. My sister got depressed, canceled her wedding, broke up with her fiancé. My parents were going to move, but now they can't sell the house because no one is willing to buy one where a person committed suicide in. We have been ostracized by the local community. My mother suffered a heart attack when she found out, and we ended up bankrupt from all the medical bills. But that's not the secret. The secret is, since then, I've hated my brother. I refuse to acknowledge that he ever existed. I'm determined to forget him. I delete all my pictures of him, and whenever I think of him, I get furious. He ruined our lives. I stopped loving him the moment I found his body. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you want to visit the original thread, I'll link it in the description. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.